What is it going, people? Welcome to the stream. Welcome. Hope everyone's doing fantastically well. Hope everyone's had a great Monday. New start of the week. Hope everyone's feeling, well, good. Let's just say the least. Today on the agenda, we basically have Arsenal. Obviously, we're going to talk about players that are not going to international duty due to, well, basically injuries. We're going to look at that. We're going to look at certain stats from Bukayo Saka. We're going to talk about potential transfers, some weird occasion. Obviously, Man City has won a battle against Premier League, which could have some repercussions implicating Arsenal. So that will be a rough one. I'm not going to lie. That I don't follow these things too much, but definitely there will be something to discuss in that regard. And of course, the main topic of the day is Kai Havertz. And based on the form he had in the second part of last season and during this season, there are multiple questions during this going on Twitter, on TikTok, and on YouTube. Also, many videos about the fact that Havertz is becoming a new star player for Arsenal. Now, the biggest question is, we're going to look at that and discuss these things, whether he is or whether he's not, obviously. We're going to get into all that, but of course, if you're new around here, don't forget to smash thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell, don't forget live interactive in the chat, and of course, if you're watching this as a playback, don't forget to leave a comment. Big up coach in the chat, big up. Hope you're doing fantastically well. And to be honest, let's not dilly-dally, let's not beat around the bush. We're gonna kick things straight off with the fact that there are quite a bit of players not going on international duty, obviously. Quite a few, to say the least. Obviously, Havertz is not going on international duty due to the fact that yesterday some news came out that he's not going because of knee issues. There have, at the moment at least, as far as I can tell, there have been no further reports on that. But obviously we'll have to wait and see. Either it's just a stunt from Arsenal just so we can preserve him, give him some sort of a rest because he's playing pretty much every single game from bell to bell. And he's in a very decent form, so Arsenal don't want to jeopardize that. Or there actually is something to it. We will have to wait and see. Gabriel Jesus obviously is not going to Brazil national team. Why would he? He has been god-awful, and I don't see him playing for Brazil whatsoever ever again. Unless he moves to a different club, different place, and he bags about, I don't know, 50 goals a season or something like that. Because Brazil obviously has problems with striker in general. In its strikers since the prime days. They have tried quite a bit of players at the moment. They're playing the pigeon, Richarlison up there. They have tried Martinelli there. Obviously, they at the moment have Endrick and other players they can play there. So basically, Jesus is not needed. And he has said himself that scoring goals isn't his main trait, so why would they even want him? Because from a striker, you want some goals. Jorginho is not going to Italy, and let's be real, I think that that ship has sailed for him in that instance. Skelly, also too young and everything. Neto also makes sense, to be honest, with Alisson, although he's injured. There's Ederson. There are quite a bit of Brazilian goalkeepers in Brazilian league who are better than Neto as well. Odegaard, still injured. No one knows how long he'll be out for. Sterling, no thanks. Obviously, Timber just has come back from injury. He didn't even play in yesterday's game, 2 days ago in the game. So, obviously, with Netherlands, he's not going there. Tierney, not sure what's happening with Tierney at Arsenal, by the way. Whether he's still injured, whether he's training and Arteta is just not using him, I have no clue. To say the least, I have no clue. So we'll have to wait on that. Tomiyasu, he has just come back from injury, so he just played yesterday about 15-20 minutes, so let's be real, he's not going to play as well. White, also injured. Zinchenko, also injured. So basically, if you kind of exclude maybe Sterling, Skelly, Jorginho, and Neto, every single other player is injured or have just come back from injuries. So it kind of makes sense, and it's 12 players from Arsenal that are not going on international duties. So it's something you don't see too often. Obviously, Saka is going and other players like that, but definitely those are not going. In some instances, that's very good for Arsenal because they can get some time to recover, kind of get some training with the squad and everything, so that is good. But overall, having 12 from those 12 players, like 8 injured, it's definitely not a good thing. Let's be real. Or just coming back from injuries. Have you seen the lap from Ipswich which they bought from City Youth? Looks strong and clinical. He's tall, powerful, and deceptively quick. That's the thing. City have so many youngsters, they sell them left, right, and center. And wherever they go, they hit the ground running and they look like world beaters. Two prime examples is the lap at Ipswich and obviously Cole Palmer at Chelsea. Like, those two are absolutely insane. I'm not gonna lie, I think Pep wishes Cole Palmer would be at the City at the moment. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, Delap is looking actually quite insane. I'm not gonna lie as well. He's similarly like, he's tall, clinical, he's deceptively quick, similarly like Gyökeres, because Gyökeres is also very tall, he's very clinical, he has a lot of good tech and everything, and he's also deceptively very quick. I think that looks like the new, I don't want to say meta for football and everything, but that it looks like football isn't evolving in that direction at the way, because what's its face? Sheshko, tall, strong, not maybe clinical yet, but still very quick, deceptively quick. Gyökeres, obviously Haaland is there. Now Delap as well. There are quite a bit of those. Big up, big up, big up. Big up Nathan in the chat, big up. Hope you're doing well, hope you are having fantastic Monday, which is obviously hard since it is Monday, but it is what it is. We're gonna move on to Paul Pogba. Obviously, about 3-4 days ago, it came out that his sentence has been reduced. It has gone down from 4 years, and he can train with Juventus per se in January, and he can play for Juventus starting March. Now, the thing is, Pogba and Juventus have reached a mutual agreement to terminate his contract early, and he will become a free agent. And this is now a very weird one, because there are rumors about Saudi, there are rumors about MLS, of course, and other places, but there are also rumors, which I'm not sure what to make of them, but that link him with Arsenal. Obviously, Arsenal's midfield is a 50-50 one at the moment. Nobody knows what's going to happen if, let's say, 2-3 players go down, especially if it's like Partey and Merino go down. Again, we are very short in midfield. If Jorginho goes down, we are kind of screwed. And some reports are linking us with Paul Pogba. Now, the biggest question is, would you take Paul Pogba at Arsenal? Because these links should have some merit to link us with him. Only reason to link us with him is the fact that our midfield is a bit thin. Besides that, I don't see him coming here. First of all, it's age. And second of all, there's a big ego thing. And now we all know that Arteta doesn't like big egos in the team. So that also raised the question, who are these reporters reporting this? Obviously at 32, he hasn't played quite a bit and everything. There might be some excuse, some reasoning maybe to be made that he might come off as a bench player and everything, but it could be kind of nuts. Just imagine kind of nuts if Pogba signed for Arsenal as a free agent, just for a random reason, just hypothetical scenarios and everything. Why are we linked with him? Like, that for me is the big question, because Partey goes, let's just say that, Paul Pogba comes in, midfield options of, let's just say, Rice, Merino, then Pogba maybe even. That sounds quite ludicrous for me personally, but at the same time, we have some very old players in the club. We signed Jorginho while he's very old, and there's no denying that Pogba is a baller. He has tech, he has finishing and everything. If you put proper players next to him, he is phenomenal. There's no argument about that. Would he work in this Arsenal system? I'm not too sure. Let's be real. And obviously when he played for France, that double pivot with him next to Kante was insane, to say the least again. Because those two, let's just say when they used to play in 4-4-2, let's say Pogba, Kante, then you had Griezmann and Giroud up top and everything. It was fantastic to watch. They were absolutely insane at that time. But at Arsenal, I don't see this working. I don't know why the links are there, but it's kind of, in a way, question to you as well. Would you take Paul Pogba at Arsenal? I know he doesn't kind of fit the age gap. There might be some ego issues because Arteta doesn't like big egos and stuff like that, but could he fit at Arsenal per se? Like, if you exclude certain aspects of those certs, would he fit at Arsenal? Would he play good at Arsenal even? Would he be even adequate to play for Arsenal given the fact that he hasn't played for such a long time? That is the big question as well. That is the big question as well for me. Would you take him? Would you take Pogba at Arsenal? He'll be 32 by then. It makes no sense. That is the thing. But at the same time, Jorginho is also not the youngest. How old is Jorginho, by the way? Jorginho at the moment is 32. He will be 33 in December 20th. Partey at... I misspelled. Partey at the moment is 31. Next year, he's gonna be 32 as well. So, Age-wise, I'm not sure it's something like out of this world per se, but overall, not too sure. Not genuinely too sure. Since the Wolves defender touched Jesus, he's been cancelled. No to Pogba, he's too old and hadn't played in a while. Rather keep Partey than Guimaraes. Looks average now. Mid is terrible. Like, our midfield in general is terrible. No, I'm not per se terrible, but the depth is terrible. Let's just say that. Obviously, there are reports that Arsenal are starting to maybe discuss some contract extensions with Thomas Partey to 1 or 2 more years. And if that is the case, then in my opinion, he should be taking massive wage cut. Genuinely, he cannot be again on 200 grand a week, for me, if Thomas Partey gets extension. The thing is though, the biggest issue with Thomas Partey is injuries. And obviously, as older he gets, there's bigger chance of him getting injured. And again, in many sorts and the not, availability is the best ability. And the issue with Thomas Partey many times is the availability. And after he comes back from injuries, the big question again in that instance is that he needs about 5 to 10 games to get into gear. Because in those first games after injury, he looks hella slow. Obviously, nobody hits the ground running after an injury. But Thomas Partey, on some level, takes extra long time to come back from injury. So that, for me, also is a big question. But Pogba to Arsenal? Fofana's thinking it up at Monaco. Which midfield do you go for now? That's also a big thing. We need a number 6 or 8, depending how Arteta sees things. In my opinion, we need an 8, a backup 6, to be honest, as well, for Declan Rice, especially after this season, when Jorginho contract runs out and Partey's contract runs out, especially if we don't extend that. So the big question is who we go for. Because at the moment, many players that were hyped up, per se, in the last transfer market in summer, all of them are stinking out the place, especially the ones Arsenal have been linked with. And that is also a big question. Will Arsenal next summer go in for Zubimendi? I'm not sure. The thing also about this is you have to take this into account is the fact that obviously Rodri has an ACL injury. He's going to be out till the end of the season. There are already numerous reports coming out that Man City have set aside about 70 to 90 million to sign the defensive midfielder again in January transfer window. And one of the main targets in this January transfer window, links-wise at least, in the rumor mill, has been Zubimendi. Obviously, Pep likes Zubimendi. At the time when he was going in for Rice, just like at the time Arsenal signed him, the second choice was Zubimendi. So it also kind of makes sense that maybe he goes back in for him. And also Zubimendi didn't fall out of place in the Spain squad, especially in the finals when Rodri got injured and had to be taken off. Zubimendi came in, everyone said, oh, Rodri is gone, Spain now will crumble. But it didn't. Zubimendi did a quite great job. So the big question is, will there be any decent midfielders available? And most likely the midfielders Arsenal are going to go after either January. It will be overpay. We'll be overpaying because it's January, obviously, because you're gonna pay. You will have to overpay due to the fact that it's mid-season and nobody wants to lose their best players. Or if we go for someone in summer, again we will have to overpay because either we're gonna go for someone that is quality, which obviously would stand to reason, obviously with this team. At the same time, we might go after someone who had a great season, but that means you're buying into hype, which instantly puts about 10 to 15 million on top either way. So the big question is, if you could sign Paul Pogba at the moment, even as a backup in the midfield as a number 8 or stuff like that, if you put Rice next to him, would you take that option? Would you take that option at the moment? Especially if he can start playing starting March, right? Mid-March, something like that. Obviously, it would be quite a bit of time even if we sign him as a free agent. But we're going to give him time to train, get used to the system and everything. Could he actually work at Arsenal? That for me is the biggest question at the moment. Depending on wages and if Pogba is okay with being a squad player, why not? Would be great experience to inject in the team. True. The thing is, will Arteta be willing to deal with him? That is also a big thing because countless times there have been reports about Pogba, maybe at sometimes having some, not per se attitude issues, but things he does, which per se doesn't go hand in hand with the club's policy and stuff like that. Maybe Arteta wants to deal with that, although I don't think so. Obviously, for me, it depends on wages. It genuinely depends on wages. Yes, people can say Pogba is dead, he hasn't played in a while, he's 32 and stuff like that. At the same time, options out there is not screaming at you as well. And if you can get Pogba in decent like fitness, in decent form, he will be better than most of the number 8 you can genuinely just sign out there that are available at the moment in any team that are playing consistently for. That also is the case because you cannot deny that the tech and abilities that Pogba possesses on the ball, off the ball, scoring wise, long shot wise, passing wise as well. We saw how he distributes the ball for France and also even for Man United, and not to mention Juventus. There's no denying that he's very capable of those things. And even though he hasn't played in a while, as I said, if you can get him in the proper form, he is arguably better than big part of the midfielders out there at the moment. It's kind of hit and miss in this instance. Obviously depends on wages as well for me in that instance. Was just thinking, how come Arsenal never buy players from Liverpool? Can't think of anyone who's made the switch from Liverpool to us. And to be honest, that is a big thing. We have sold to Liverpool. We haven't signed from Liverpool. Many times, the big clubs are buying from Arsenal. Obviously, in recent times, Arsenal tend to buy from City or Chelsea quite a bit. But in general, usually the players that are purchased are from Arsenal. You could really, if you look at the sales and purchases we have made, the sales to the other top 6 per se sides massively outweigh the players we have purchased from top 6 sides. Obviously, nobody wants to make these transitions and everything because it kind of feels unimaginable in a way. At the same time, money speaks. The big question is, will player be willing to leave? That is also a big case. So it would be kind of interesting to see what's going to happen with that, because Arsenal have sold big players to Chelsea, to Manchester United, let's be real. The last time Arsenal have gone to a team and being like basically cocky big team is the time I would argue we signed Sol Campbell. We basically during night, like I don't know, like ninjas, went into Spurs Spurs ground and said, "Come to us, and you're gonna win titles." And he came. Pause. And he came to us and he won titles and become a legend at our team. That, in my opinion, that was the last time we have actually moved like a proper big club, not giving a damn about other teams' feelings. Because at the moment, the way we tend to do business or do something is to keep good relations with the club. We paid on top to Marquinhos to keep good relations with Sao Paulo, which we haven't done business since. We didn't go for Caicedo and also Bissouma because we wanted to keep good relations with Brighton and everything, and we haven't done a deal with Brighton ever since. Yes, we signed Trossard, but obviously Trossard was basically on the out with the Zerbi, so that you cannot take that into context. Last time we signed was Ben White for 50 million. So Arsenal also, even though we are not talking about actually Big Six even here, we are talking about Premier League teams in general. Arsenal don't shop in Premier League whatsoever. We don't go often, or pretty much at all, to teams in Premier League and say, we want your best player. Right here, right now, here's the money, goodbye, he's ours. We don't do that. Other teams do it. Other teams in Premier League do it. They buy countless players from academies, countless players from the other teams. Arsenal don't do that. Because if you think about it, the Rice was the big marquee signing we have done from other teams in Premier League. Besides that, if you think about maybe Trossard, but that again, he was on the out, so that kind of you have to put some context and asterisks to that signing. Besides that, Sterling, he was on the outs. Chelsea wanted to get rid of Havertz. City wanted to get rid of Jesus and Zinchenko. We basically are shopping in other teams' trash cans. That's what it is. We go scooping for some good things in other people's trash. Basically, that's what we're doing in a way. Obviously, what do we do with the trash we actually get from them? Obviously, it's on Arteta team and how it goes out. But how comes we never go, as we talked about, Crystal Palace, get Olise, get Eze, get Gehi. We don't go to Brentford. We don't get like Visa or someone like that. We never do those things. How comes other teams do that? How come other teams can just go there, take them, and deal with it, basically? Arsenal just don't do that, and that is also a very big issue for me in that instance. This can't be right. I'm seeing Pogba is on 679 per week, down from... to be honest, I can get that. I kind of get that. Let's be real. 700 pounds a week for the fact that he's not playing whatsoever, and basically Juventus are paying him just because, well, he's their team player and he's on their paybooks. That's a good move from Juventus. That's a nice move from Juventus in that instance. Because let's be real, if they were paying him those 165 grand a week for all this time he was banned, that would be just insanity. Would make more sense just to terminate contract. But Juventus, in a way, are not pricks in that instance, if that makes sense. They just wanted to help a brother out in a way. Especially the way how Pogba has helped Juventus in their life, in his career. That would also make a lot of sense why Juventus did that, in a way. I guess Pogba adds swag to the team, that's about it. Let's be real, Arsenal are quite a bit about PR. Arsenal are quite a bit about the PR. We do PR consistently. We release new kits and everything every single week, it feels like. There's always some PR motion every single week as well. We do everything about PR. And that is what basically, by the looks of things, makes every single Arsenal fan happy in that instance. And Pogba signing, obviously, if we signed him in his prime from Juventus, everyone would be going nuts at Arsenal. Let's be real. Arsenal fan base wise. At the moment, that would be very underwhelming signing in the terms that we don't know what we are getting. At the same time, it would be a free signing. Obviously, also Pogba and his agent's hands are kind of tied in the sense that with the fact that he hasn't played for insane amount of time. His contract has just been terminated and he's coming back from a ban. So Arsenal would have some sort of a leverage if even Arsenal would entertain the idea of signing Paul Pogba as a free agent in January, in February even, as soon as he's coming back. There definitely would be something to it, but I'm not sure. I don't think, even with the fact that there are some links, I'm not sure Arsenal will go for it. Because for that to happen, he would have to agree for about, 60 to 80 grand a week, in my opinion. And to accept the fact that he won't be a starter. In a way, I think Pogba would be fine with that as well. Because let's be real, no matter what, Paul Pogba is a big name in footballing world. Especially if he starts picking up form and shape and fitness and everything. He will be good in either way. He will be good for PR, for commercials and everything. He will get his deals with Nike, Adidas, whatever he wants. He will get some movements from club and everything. It would work very good for both camps in that sense, if he hits the form. If it doesn't, in a way, given the amount of money we have wasted on players like El Neni, on Cedric, Fabio Vieira, and players like that, this would be the least of our worries. Because with Cedric, there was no quality. With Murray, there was no quality. With Vieira, God knows what's going there. With Pogba, there's actually a possibility of us getting a player there, if he hits the form. It's a big if, obviously, let's be real. At the same time, there is more potential in signing a 32-year-old Pogba than signing a 30-year-old Cedric. There is more possibilities in that regard overall. Same goes for El Neni. Signing even El Neni in his prime, there is less potential than signing a 32-year-old Paul Pogba on free. If you look at it that way, in my opinion, at least. In Italy, big teams interchange players every season. Don't get it. We should be able to poach players too. The other teams don't want to sell. The thing is, money talks. And Arsenal, even though they have the money, they don't want to spend. And also at this stage, they have their valuations for players and everything, and they don't want to go over that unless they really, really want a player, especially under Mikel Arteta in the last 2-3 years. So that also would be the case. Even if they want, for example, Visa, right, from Brentford, Arsenal probably would pay about 35, maybe 40 max. And given how Brentford are doing at the moment and everything, most likely they would ask for a 50-55, given that he's one of their best players, one of the reasons why they actually are where they are, and arguably is one of the key reasons why they actually could stay up this season. Like if you look at it in those terms, let's just say it like that. But to be honest, getting Eze shouldn't be a problem, especially with the reports that last summer Palace wanted from those 60 million release clauses at least 50 up front. Now there are reports coming out that maybe apparently they are willing to accept, for example, payments and installments like in about 4 or 5 installments. And paying 60 million, let's just say even 4 installments is just 15 million. Playing in 5, it's 12. It's not that big of a deal anymore. And that means he comes more available to countless teams. Obviously, Arsenal should be going in for Eze, especially with the fact that Eze has said himself he wants to play for Arsenal once again. He wants to show what he has. What has he become since Arsenal binned him from the academy and everything. Arsenal should be having a front row seat and they should be frontrunners to sign Eze. But knowing how Arsenal do business in transfer windows, do you think that will be the case? I don't think so. I genuinely don't believe so. That is also a big question. Pogba would have to be 80,000 a week max. Can't pay him more than Trossard if he accepts those terms and good. That's the thing. We cannot afford to pay certain players more than they should be getting. Given the fact, especially as I said before, in my opinion, that since Pogba hasn't played for countless insane amount of time, he is coming back from ban, he's not in form, we don't know what we're getting even if we signed him, his hands will be tied to some extent. And Arsenal should push it to the max and exploit that option even if they go for him. If they don't, whatever, you better sign someone in January. But if they go for him, then they should be pushing the narrative, the fact that basically we are buying cat in a bag. We don't know what we're getting. We are buying a Kinder Surprise type of player. It will be a surprise if you basically buy Kinder in Paul Pogba, and it will be a surprise. Either it will be a good toy or a bad toy. Basically, your kid likes it or not. In these terms, Arsenal, he will do good for Arsenal or he will do bad for Arsenal. And if Arsenal are willing to pay about 70 grand a week for him, that's a risk, in my opinion, Arsenal should be willing to take. And again, given as I said before, given the money we have spent on all these Pablo Amaris, on Cedrics, Vieiras, Williams and stuff like that, I think that should be a chance we're willing to take, in my opinion at least. What's your take on Chelsea? Can they challenge? They look decent. Chelsea could be up there, but I don't think they have enough. Yes, they have a squad of about 50 billion people, players and stuff like that, but the biggest thing is, for Chelsea, they have attack that can score on any given day up to 6-7 goals. The issue for them is defense, because their defense is the one that's struggling. They basically let go their best defender, a 38-year-old Thiago Silva, this summer. He was their best defender. They have signed countless players, and they have players that in about 3-4 years, they could be good, and that could bring Chelsea back. They basically are buying in potential in hopes that in few years it goes bang. Basically like Arsenal, project goes bang. If it doesn't, who knows? Because Chelsea at the moment defensively look quite a bit shaky. It isn't a surprise that many teams that actually play attacking football, that know how to score a ball and everything, score about 3-4 goals past them. 2-3 goals past them every single game. It's just the fact that Chelsea have such a overwhelming attack that they can afford to score more. It's similar like Brazil in the late 90s, early 2000s, even mid 90s. You score how much you can, we will score how much we want. That's basically Chelsea's approach to the game at the moment. I'm not saying they're Brazil or anything. That's how it feels like at the moment. But their biggest letdown will be defense. They will start to crumble at some point. Not to mention the fact that they will get hit with injuries. And there are certain positions in that team that if it gets hit with injuries, no matter how big their squad is, it will be hell on earth for them to recover and push through it. Similarly like Arsenal in a way. But Arsenal have the quality to kind of mask those cracks. Chelsea just don't at the moment. So it will be very interesting to see how that goes. Militao injured again. Rudiger up in age. Carvajal career probably over. They're definitely shuffled. Yeah, they definitely will. And the biggest thing is, they have already been linked with about 3-4 center backs. In this instance, those 3-4 center backs are not including Saliba, because Saliba, I think, is a summer long-term signing. But there are also reports with Carvajal's ACL injury. They are looking potentially to speed up the talks to sign Trent in January from Liverpool. Whether it's going to happen or not remains to be seen. But I don't think that, given how Papa Perez, in a sense, runs Real Madrid, and how fans will get on Real Madrid's case, that they're gonna try and go the full season with Lucas Vazquez at right back, they will get ridiculed, crucified, and absolutely bombed by the fans, by everyone, until they do something. And obviously, in La Liga, quite a bit of the teams are run by fans on quite big level. And they know what is what. They are not stupid, let's be real. They know what is football, what it's all about, and how it should be going, and what it should be doing. So at the end of the day, they will go for right back and a center back at least. Just the question is who. I'm not sure they will go for Saliba in January per se, because in January that means that they would have to pay for Saliba at least 50% more, in my opinion, not just 120 but about 180, 200, because it's just January, and they won't do that. I think they will do it in summer. They will try and start poaching slowly, maybe not instantly this summer, but they will test waters this summer, and then they will come even harder. Pause. Year after that. I think that could be the move how Real Madrid tries to get Saliba. Or Gabriel even, who knows. Because all of their center backs pretty much are either injured or are getting on in age. And Rudiger had an interview where he said he would love for Saliba to come to Real Madrid. And that already is a big indication to Real Madrid's ownership and president what should be done. It's not a coincidence they start sending their agents to see some of the best players on the planet Earth play, especially defensively. Because there are not that many high-end center backs, defenders in general, who are close or could be very world class. And Saliba is one of those, who basically is there, almost there. He just needs a tiny bit to be there, and that is the big thing. And Real Madrid, let's be real, they strive for greatness and world class levels every single season. Signings, winnings, trophies, everything. And in a way, I think it's just a matter of time in that instance. Anyways, moving swiftly on. Look at this. And this is quite ironic in a way. Only Bukayo Saka has more assists than Nuno Tavares. Yes, you heard it right, Nuno Tavares in Europe's top 5 leagues. The Portuguese defender registered his 5th assist of the season against Empoli on Saturday. And this is a big thing. Nuno Tavares is on loan with option to buy to Lazio. At the moment, he has played 5 games for Lazio and he has 5 assists for Lazio. At the moment, obviously, he has been injured a bit there, but he has hit the ground running. Now, don't get your hopes up right away, mostly because he had very similar start when he was at Marseille. In Marseille as well, he had some assists, he scored some goals in the first part of the season. In the second part of the season, he totally fell off. Obviously, there was a manager change and everything. But for Lazio at the moment, he is totally on fire. Now, if he keeps this up, I'm not gonna lie, if he keeps this up, there's a big chance that Arsenal will get the money they want for him. As long as he doesn't stay injured and he can keep up the form. But at the moment, it's actually kind of wild that only Bukayo Saka has more assists than goddamn Nuno Tavares in Europe's top 5 leagues. Nuno Tavares has 5, I think Saka has 7 or 8. I think. Don't quote me on that one. I'm going to check this right now. Yeah, he has 7 assists in 7 games. That is actually a mad one. That is actually a mad one, if you think about it. That is a wild one. I never thought I would love to see, but this is something I love to see, because that means Nuno Tavares, there's a big chance he's going. Charge them 70 million, no chance. I think it's about, what, 15 million with that option to buy or something like that. If all the clauses are met and everything. Could be the case, or it could be something different, or maybe there's also a possibility to kind of discuss, let's just say that, discuss potential money on top, if I'm not mistaken. If you could choose, who would you let go of Gabriel and Saliba? Now, Gabriel and Saliba is the best center-back partnership as a 2 in Premier League, arguably one of the best in Europe. Let's get it out of the way straight away. If I had to choose, if I was forced, let's just say, I don't know, knife to my back or something to my back, I would let go Gabriel. I would keep Saliba. I think in this instance, Gabriel is the sacrifice we could be possibly making. Because finding another Gabriel at the moment, that at least the center back market is, or even if you want to think about Calafiori, is much easier than finding another Saliba. Finding another Gabriel, in my opinion, is a bit more easier at the moment than finding another Saliba. And finding another Saliba, who in a way is a generational center back, is almost impossible, let's be real. Finding another Gabriel replacement, that shouldn't be that hard. Maybe Gabriel will be the sacrificial lamb because that's the case. I think after this season, or during this season, there will be a defender in Arsenal's team that will get the Ramsdale treatment. Either it's gonna be Gabriel, although at the moment it doesn't look like it, or if he manages to stay fit, it could be White for Timber. Timber for White, other way around. I think there will be one defender this season in Arsenal's team that will could get the Ramsdale treatment. And at the moment, the biggest opportunities, oh goddamn, that's a stupid word. The chances, the biggest in my opinion, are White or Gabriel. Because Gabriel can be replaced with Calafiori, potentially. Obviously, our left-back position is still screwed then. Our left-back side then is totally screwed in a way. Because Gabriel, in a way, is the glue that keeps that left side kind of together. When Zinchenko pushes forward, when Calafiori pushes forward the gap, he kind of tends to cover it. But at the moment, I think White is kind of odds-on favorite, in my opinion, to get the Ramsdale treatment because the way Timber is playing. Now, the biggest thing is whether it's going to happen or not. I might be just talking out of my ass. It could be just a conspiracy theory on this end. But I think there is a possibility that this season or during this summer, one of the defenders will get the Ramsdale treatment. They're going to get exiled in a way from starting 11, and ultimately they're going to get sold. Who? I don't know. As I said, it could be either White or Gabriel. I'm not sure White could get sold, but maybe White or Gabriel. But there is a possibility of that, in my opinion. Bin Tavares, let's get Hato in January before the other clubs look at him in the summer. The thing is, though, you say this, right? I will show you this. Real Madrid want... Here we go. Real Madrid ready to challenge Arsenal for Ajax defender Hato. Real Madrid are ready to challenge for Joel Hato, and this is already, let's see, according to says, Real Madrid are eyeing fullback for the January transfer market with the Rudiger getting on age, with with Carvajal's ACL. Real Madrid already are preparing for potential signing of Joel Hato this January. We are not even talking summer, we are talking this January. So you say that, but it's already in the books. It's already in the making, it's already in the pipeline, potentially, according to some reports. That is also a big thing. Real Madrid need a center back and they need a right back. There are also reports that they want Hato, center back / right back, and they might speed up their interest in Trent, who still hasn't signed a new contract, and go for Trent in January. Those two, I think, are the options they are going after at the moment. But the aggression and fitness of Gabriel is hard. He doesn't get injured. That's the thing. That is the thing. And that leads me to believe that Ben White is odds-on favorite to get the Ramsdale treatment in our defensive backline. If it happens in that instance. Yeah, White might be the guy. Big Gabby is my favorite. I get that. I totally get that. That Turkish hair transplant is working like a charm. Trent going to Madrid. Yeah, but they need a right back and a center back. And Trent would instantly get into the team as a right back. Hato would be center back / right back, similar like Koundé at Barcelona, right? But the way Real Madrid do things, they sign a young type of player and he gets nurtured and integrated into the team by the most experienced players in that position. In this instance, Alaba and Rudiger. Because they did that same with midfield. You think it's a coincidence that, for example, Modric stayed at Real Madrid. Yes, he's still good and everything, but he's there to kind of guide Camavinga, to guide still Jude Bellingham and everyone how to play. Real Madrid do this year over year. They keep some of the experienced players to guide their young players. And I think that also could be the case in this instance. Oh, big up Saad. Big up, big up, big up, big up. If you haven't, go subscribe to Saad's Football Corner. Big up the guy. Big up. Massive, massive. Massive football Arsenal fan. Massive one. Big up, big up, big up. We can't let that. We need someone. We need definitely someone to sign. We need someone in January per se. Trent and Alphonso Davies, they might do that. Although there are talks that obviously that Davies might be re-signing a new contract. To be honest, similar goes for Trent. But given the injuries and how it's forcing Real Madrid's hand, they might do it in January instantly. They should go for Davies. Although their left-back side, on a certain level, is covered. They can play Camavinga there, they have Mendy there, they have Garcia there. So they, in a way, are covered in that left side. Yeah, big up Saad, big up Saad, big up Saad. Thanks for dropping by the way, bro. Thanks. Thank you. This is the something random one. You just shut the hell up. According to reports, Man City has won their legal challenge against the Premier League's associated party transaction rules, which surrounds commercial deals between clubs and their related companies. And this is what it has to offer now for Arsenal per se. This is what it hurts Arsenal. Apparently. I don't know because I'm not too invested in the financial side of Arsenal and how deals are getting done. But according to this victory, Arsenal have borrowed more than 200 million, made up entirely of shareholder loans. Basically, KSC bought out the stadium or whatever, they paid the loan, and now basically we own the money directly to KSC, not to the banks and and stuff like that. And which are deemed at the moment, due to Man City's victory, an unfair and not at market value because they were interest free and in some cases did not have to be repaid at all. Which now kind of I don't get how this works because I haven't studied finances in uni and everything. I studied chemistry and stuff like that, got my degree in that stuff and everything. But from what I understand, basically KSC bought out Arsenal's stadium and everything. They were paying directly to Arsenal, to KSC, which is basically tax-free and stuff like that. And at the moment, it's now becoming an issue. That for me is an issue. To be honest, how Chelsea have done it, selling their hotels, is also not a great thing. I think Chelsea will get done over by that as well. The big question is, will this have further going ramifications and implications on Arsenal? That is the big thing. Because that also could affect in future how much money we spend in transfer windows. Because we should be paying more money to the government because of the taxes and all that stuff, and that could actually screw us over in long term. If I read into this correctly. That for me is the big question. Pep to wait, really? Is it announced? Is it announced that Pep is a 2-year extension? Todd Bowley showed the way for City to go into grey areas. Let's face it, nothing's gonna happen. That is the thing. If this thing they won at the moment, which I don't know, does it kind of coincide and crossroads with with the charges they have, at least of some of them, right? If City have won that, it means that some of those charges are already gone. And obviously in February, sometime at that point, we're going to hear the outcome of it, obviously. And it could be another kind of rock in Arsenal, in Premier League's garden. And if City wins that suit, by the way, it could have some long-term lasting implications on Premier League, especially if they countersuit. Especially if they countersuit Premier League or the clubs that provided information and stuff like that. Then it's gonna go tits up, basically. Have to be accountant to support. Exactly, that is the thing. You have to be basically a doctorate degree in accounting and finances and everything. It's actually kind of wild. Genuinely, it's kind of wild. And not gonna lie, Arsenal fans and fans in general are slowly turning into ones. Because every single transfer window, we have earned this much from Champions League, we have earned this much from Europa League, from the Cups, from the Premier League. Now this gets deducted by taxes, this goes to the owners. Now apparently we have this to spend in January transfer window or summer transfer window. But again, then there's FFP, we have issues with that, so kind of it balances each other out, and then you go and then you put it on top, divide by 4, multiply by 3, add 12%, and all that stuff. It's wild. Genuinely, it's wild. You generally have to become an accountant to be a football fan, in essence. City fans and their ITK say it's happening. The big thing is, does that mean City are winning the trial? Because Pep said himself, didn't he, that if the suit actually they lose, he's gonna leave City. There was something like that, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So does that mean they're gonna win the suit? Now it's already like looking in the future and stuff like that, or what's gonna happen here? That is the big thing. That is the big thing. What's gonna happen here? Because if Pep stays for 2 more years, right? It means that, and I don't want to call everyone out, but all the top gooners, Arteta only fans and all them people, right, who said, oh, we have to wait till Pep leaves Premier League to win the league, are in the mud at the moment. Because it's 2 more years, it's at the same time when Arteta's contract runs out, no? 24, 26, 27, something like that, right? So that excuse is gone. Because for me personally, I would like to win the league while Pep is here, so we actually have shown them who's the boss in a way, that he has done it in a way. It's gonna get wild in a way. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. Yeah, there's not just the jungle, that's everyday life in general. That's everyday life of every person in the world. Elon Musk gets richer by day, and middle class people get poorer by day, basically. That's how it works, somehow. Forest Everton docked already. I think Leicester as well, or I think there was in that. It's a shambles, but I guess if you have money, then by all means use it. Yeah, but that's the thing. If you have the money, by all means use it. Arsenal have the money, but we don't use it. It's kind of wild in that instance. Arsenal have the money, but we never use it. Because we have one of the richest owners in Premier League and arguably one in the world in a way as well. In the top 5 leagues, definitely. Yet we have the money, we never use it. Almost, well, we signed Rice. We cannot say we never use it, but we signed Rice, we signed Havertz, but we don't use it in general. We just don't use it in general. Because if we had the money and we used it properly, there's no reason we would sign these mediocre type of players like Pablo Mari, Cedric Soares, Marquinhos, and Williams and stuff like that. Let's be real. Anyways, we touched on Kai Havertz a bit. Pause. So we're gonna talk about Kai Havertz at the moment as well. And this was the main thing about Kai Havertz. Now, this is one of the wildest stats I've seen, so let's just roll with it for a second. Kai Havertz has the same amount of non-penalty goals and assists as Erling Haaland when playing as the main center forward in 2024. Havertz in midfield has played about 2-3 games this season, right? So it kind of comes a moot point in that instance. But Havertz is not our main penalty taker. That is also a big thing. Haaland is City's main penalty taker by the looks of things. For us, it's Saka usually. So it's very interesting the fact that non-penalty goals this year and slash assists, they are tied. It's actually kind of wild. It's genuinely kind of wild. And to add it on top, if you compare Kai Havertz at Chelsea and Kai Havertz at Arsenal, he has played more than 50% less games at Arsenal, yet he has scored, assisted, pretty much the same amount of goals as slash assists. So there's no argument about the fact that he definitely gonna surpass those things, 100%. So at Arsenal, quote unquote, you could say he kind of has been a success. Because he has 44 games, 25 GA. If you want, you can take away about, 13 games? 12, 13 games where he played in the midfield in the beginning of last season. So that also changes the things. That also changes some things. Because if you exclude those games, right? then he is genuinely on the off the charts in a way. Because if you exclude the midfield games when you just count him as a proper number 9, right? Then he has nearly goal per game, well, point per game ratio. Almost, if I'm not mistaken. If you exclude the midfield games, right? But you cannot do that because Arteta has said he bought him as a midfielder. He has played in the midfield quite a bit. But anyways, overall, in 44 games, 25 GA. Which is actually kinda wild if you come to think of it. And just look at this. Genuinely just look at these stats for Kai Havertz. 2021 for Chelsea, 4 goals, 4 assists. 21-22 Chelsea, 8 goals, 3 assists. 22-23 Chelsea, 7 goals, 1 assist, right? 23-24, one season for Arsenal, 8 goals, 4 assists. So in one season at Arsenal, he already did more than he did in any of the seasons when he was at Chelsea. And at the moment, he is on quite a bit of points. We're going to take a look into this as well. Because if you look at this, overall, in Bundesliga, 118 games, 36 goals, 25 assists. In Premier League, we're going to look at Premier League because Bundesliga we kind of don't care about in that instance. Premier League all seasons. If you look at Kai Havertz's stats, it's actually kind of insane the way Arteta has kind of evolved him, not per se, but he, I would say, is using Kai Havertz the right way. Let's just say that. I don't want to say he has unlocked Havertz because there always has been a good player in Havertz, but he has played him the right way. Obviously at Chelsea it doesn't help the fact that they had about 55 managers at the time Havertz was there, but overall, if you look at this, it's actually insane because at Chelsea overall, we just looked at the fact, that this is in Premier League, right? Yeah, it's 19 goals and 7 assists. 19 goals, 7 assists. Last season alone, he nearly surpassed that. Genuinely, he nearly surpassed that. The biggest thing is, if Kai Havertz could finish on consistent basis, if he didn't kind of flop sometimes, if he could hit the target on occasion, if he wasn't inconsistent in front of the net with heading the ball or shooting the ball, he would have already surpassed what he did at Chelsea. And in my opinion, actually, there is argument to be made that last season he could have finished on about 17, 18 goals in Premier League. Because the amount of chances he got, and he actually squandered, Nketiah style per se, right? Hitting the posts, missing the target when it was half-empty nets and stuff like that, was actually kind of worrying, let's just say that. But at the same time, you could say if he can turn those at least big chunk of those misses into points, right? He could be very, very vital in Arsenal this season. Obviously, he has received more yellows at Arsenal in one season than he has in Chelsea in 3 seasons, but it's a bit different story there. But yeah, this season in Premier League in 7 games, he has 4 goals and assists. If he keeps this up, he has 5 points in 7 games, like on average, right? 5 points in 7 games in Premier League. In Premier League, if you multiply that by 5, if he keeps at this rate, he will have about 22 goals and 7 assists. Imagine he actually gets 22 goals and 7 assists this season in Premier League for Arsenal. Just imagine. The biggest issue with this is, though, if you kind of take away all the facts that he cannot score on consistent basis, he misses easy chances, he scores the harder chances, which is kind of a bit of a paradox with many strikers because they tend to miss easy chances and score the hard chances. Most of these things he has scored and done is at home. He needs to start replicating this form away, because away from home will be the key for him to actually leading the line and getting actually Arsenal fans kind of encouraged and excited about the fact that we can win the league. For me personally, it should be the away form, because at home he does great. Well, not great, good. Let's be real, there have been away games, but away. Obviously, you have to take into account that we have played 2 games with 10 men and all that stuff, and he has played 1 game in the midfield, but he still has scored and everything. But if he can transform this home form also into away form and kind of put them together like a pieces of puzzle, there is an argument to be made that he could get 20 plus GA for Arsenal this season. Because he got 20 GA already last season for Arsenal in Premier League. So what is stopping him this season to getting more? Especially if he plays most of the games in his natural, that number 9, number 10 rotational position where he plays most of the time. What is stopping him? Besides consistency in front of the net, obviously. Havertz gives me Mkhitaryan vibes. The system players still need a hitman. Happy with his performance, but we need that to add more. Yeah, that is definitely true, and I totally agree with that. Despite the fact that Havertz at the moment is in a great form, we don't know what's going to happen with that knee and stuff like that. Still, he is a guy who can give you those points, but to get you over the line, to win you something, you need a proper bagsman up top. You need a player who not only scores the chances Havertz would score, but who converts certain part of the chances Havertz has missed. Because if you have a proper striker in certain instances on chances that Havertz misses, especially in front of goal, a random header, or on his left or right foot, which he just shoots wide, where other strikers usually thrive and put in the back of the net, then we have a completely different story about the season and the outcome of the season in Carabao Cup, in FA Cup, in Champions League, and in Premier League. Then it actually would put us in a very, very serious conversation about the fact that Arsenal could win a major trophy this season. And I mean in this instance Premier League. Mostly than any other thing. Let's get it out the way straight, because Champions League I still think we're missing something. And I think we're per se missing away form in the Champions League. Completely different player, he generally gets bare month. Exactly. If you count this year alone, he has been actually very good. The thing is, Havertz is also a bit streaky type of player, which could be hot and cold on certain instances. And if he could stay actually not just hot and cold, but also kind of warm, medium temperature, even then, and get assist here or there, or a goal here or there, that would be the perfect scenario. But I don't think that will be the case. Because at home he scores. The issue is away games, if I'm not mistaken, in Premier League, definitely. If you look at this. Home at Wolves, he scored and assisted. Home against Brighton, he scored. Home against Leicester, he scored. Home against Southampton, he scored. If you look, only games where he doesn't have points and he has played full 90 are all of the away games, which is not a big coincidence in that regard. He needs to transmit, as Arteta used to say, this home form into away form. Until he doesn't do that, until he does that, I think there will be lots of questions to ask about the striker situation and about the fact that Arsenal won't win the league until we get him to that point. I think that is, at the moment, the key for Arsenal's away form and winning consistently and getting it over the line. The away games specifically. Because he didn't score against Villa, he didn't score against Spurs, and he didn't score against City. Obviously, there's a lot of context to these games. You kind of have to take into account that against City, we had 10 men. Against Spurs, it was the first game without Odegaard, so we set up completely differently and stuff like that. Against Villa, it's a bit different story, but you get what I mean. He needs to transform this home form where he gets points consistently to away form. Because if he let's be real. If he scores in every home game, right? He will be on 18 goals. 19 goals, right? Which is actually great and phenomenal, let's be real. But it's not gonna happen. He needs to score the away goals as well. For Arsenal to get it over the line, to win into a tight spot, to win certain games, we will need him to score the away goals as well. And until he does that, that will be the biggest issue for Arsenal up top. And that's why I still believe we need a proper striker up front. Proper bagsman, proper player who can score in those tight instances, tight situations when it kind of matters the most. Basically, goal per game as a striker, more or less, point per game as a striker, as a number 9. Tuchel said in an interview he didn't know how to use Havertz. Well, let's be real. Lampard said that this team cannot win anything. Tuchel came in and won a cup instantly, so what do they know? Let's be real. And for Tuchel, the issue is he likes certain type of players, and Havertz in this instance is a player that is in between about 3 positions, between a winger, a number 9, and a number 10. He's like a mix of them all, and to use that type of player, you need to have specific tactics set up. And unfortunately for Tuchel, the way he plays, the way he wants to play, just doesn't fit. Let's be real, it just doesn't fit. Yes, he might score here or there. It might look very good when he does it, but long term, it just doesn't work. But the way Arteta wants to use him, it works to a T. So that's why I think for Havertz at Arsenal, he is slowly becoming that star player that Arsenal can depend on, at least at home. He needs to do quite a bit to score away, and then if Arsenal can start to also depend on him scoring away on somewhat consistent basis, then we can start talking more consistently and more louder about the fact that we're going to win a title or we're going to win a cup. Until that happens, or until we get a proper bagsman up top in January, I don't think we are in the position to kind of say those things at the moment, at least for now. It's the fact that we set up different away compared. Yeah, that is the thing. We set in a way completely differently on certain instances away than we do at home. The issue with this is we cannot do that long term. Because at some point, going away, we need to win. We need to win consistently, especially in Premier League. Last year in Premier League, we lost 5 games, we drew 5 games. And we saw that it wasn't also enough to win the league. Just like we missed it by this much. And for Arsenal to actually win the league, we need to kind of do what we do at home, but just do it away as well. Because the same thing also applies in Champions League. Our home form is top notch. You kind of can say that. It may be not in every game, but at home we are much more dangerous than we are away, which obviously should be the case in a way. But if you want to win the Champions League, if you want to win the Premier League, you need to have consistent performances as home and as away. And away form for Arsenal at the moment is the biggest issue, at least on international stage. In Premier League, you could argue not so much, but on the international stage, at the moment is the biggest worry. Because our home form in Champions League, Europa League is actually quite decent. It's the away form that is ruining at least the win percentage for Mikel Arteta and for Arsenal in general. Because whenever we go away, we tend to struggle. We drew against PSV. Yes, we rotated heavily, but we drew against PSV. We lost to Porto. We lost to Bayern Munich. We drew against Atalanta and stuff like that. Yes, you could say if we had the Odegaard, maybe it would be a different against Atalanta and per se and everything. But if we play away, we need to win those games. Because we're going to go away to Inter. We're going to go away to Sporting Lisbon. We're going to go away to Girona. Obviously, Girona are struggling a bit this season, given that they have lost about 4 or 5 of their best players. But still, it's Girona. You cannot take them for granted. We need these away games to be wins. At some point, to get it over the line, especially in the elimination stages, round of 16, quarterfinals, semifinals, even finals, we need to win the away games. Yeah, United even went to Porto and drew. To be honest, what's its face? Harry Maguire. He basically saved them in a way. They could have lost the game. But to be honest, they easily could have won the game. Arsenal went to Porto. We never looked like we were going to win the game. We should have been 2-3-0 down in the first half, to be honest. We just got lucky that Evan Nilsson and Pepe didn't score in that game. And in the last seconds, they just scored a random long shot. That was basically that's how it happened. Yeah, Costa he's not rubbish. He just had an off game. I think Costa is actually pretty decent. It's just the worst time when it to happen to such a keeper is on the big stage, and unfortunately it just happened to him. Costa per se isn't that bad of a keeper. He is better than that game showed, at least in my opinion. But yeah, Kai Havertz is consistent performer if you even look at the summary of the average player match ratings. He averages at least 7.32 average game rating in 34 appearances. In October, he's 8.0. Obviously, one game played, but still 8.0. In overall, you see, just look. Arsenal went 1-7 here, right? he had very big drop on performances. Arsenal start to batter teams 6-0, 5-0, 4-0, and he was one of the main contributors in those games, and his average ratings instantly went up. Arsenal obviously started slow this season. Here are the draws, the red cards and everything. His performances dipped, but again, we play at home. He scores and does everything. We are happy chappy. The thing is about Havertz, it's the away form that needs to improve and get better for Arsenal to actually even talk about properly winning the league, winning the Champions League, or winning any of the cups. And I still strongly believe that in January we should sign a striker. Because we need a proper bagsman. We cannot go into these games with Jesus, who cannot hit a barn door, who cannot hit War if he was standing on a boat. He kind of disrupted everything against Southampton. It was really, we were really struggling with Jesus up top against Southampton, and it's not a coincidence. He's been on a shocking form. Let's be real. He needs to go. He's not good enough. He's like Lacazette with cheekbones. He's generally, at the moment, the way he's playing, he's a slight improvement on Eddie Nketiah, because Nketiah didn't score. He also doesn't score. He has a tech more than Nketiah, but that's about it. He overholds the possession, and that's about it. At least in Nketiah, he was type of a fox in the box type of player who could find some open gaps where to get the ball and shoot it. Jesus doesn't even do that. He just basically gets the ball in his feet, overholds the possession, and ultimately either shoots it at the first defender or lose the possession. Very rarely he just has these moments of brilliance. So I strongly still believe that in January we need to sign a striker. A proper striker to at least give Havertz run for his money. So his position in that role isn't safe. We need at least good players in each position, 2 of them, to have challenges, to have competition for those spots. So you know at any given time, if you don't perform, you can get hacked off. You can get subbed off, may not start the next game. Obviously, to some players it doesn't apply, it feels that way, but it is what it is. But yeah, I think on that note, I'm gonna end it today. Thank you guys so much for watching. And actually, this was one of my favorite streams in a very long time, I'm not gonna lie. This was actually quite fun for me to do. Thank you for everyone for dropping by. If you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell, smash thumbs up. If you're watching as a playback, don't forget to comment. Big up Saad, big up Coach, big up Nathan. You have all been freaking fantastic. Big up for engaging into discussions. Have a good one, Nathan. Big up, big up, big up. Take care, stay safe. I see you all tomorrow. Kind of haven't decided with what. Basically, this was on the splurge at work. I had a free time off of work and I decided to do a stream on Kai Havertz more specifically. Tomorrow, let's see what inspiration strikes me, because I have some ideas, but we'll see if they come to life. Let's just say it that way. But yeah, for today, I am out. Take care, stay safe, and see you all tomorrow.